When you take your RV out, one of the real advantages of owning an RV, Patty, is the fact that you have a kitchen.
Right.
But that doesn't mean we always cook when we go RVing.
Right.
And I thought we would talk about how we handle meals when we're RVing in this episode of Travels with Delaney,
the podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome back. My name's Patrick.
I'm Patty.
And if you're new to our podcast, we are so glad you found us.
Absolutely.
We started 6.5 years ago over on YouTube with Travels with Delaney. Delaney was our Cocker Spaniel.
Yeah.
And just started documenting our travels. Mm-hmm. We've actually been RVing now for over 18 years.
I know.
Had 11 different RVs during that time.
Isn't that crazy?
And now we do this little podcast where we talk about all things RVing.
Yep, sure do.
And today we're going to be talking about meals when you're RVing. But before we do that, we have to do another episode of This or That.
Uh-oh, I'm in the hot seat.
Patty is back in the hot seat this week.
Back in the hot seat again.
I was thinking because this is airing the week before Christmas, it should be Christmas related. And I did think about the this or that, meaning are you on Santa's good list or naughty list? But that's not it.
I think that'd be easy.
I don't think so. So this week, Patty, this is your this or that.
Okay.
It's Christmas morning.
Yep.
And there is a present under the tree.
Right.
Are you hoping for jewelry or a purse?
Whoa, that's a toughie. I like both.
I know. I think I could have actually made it more difficult, but I'll let you answer this one.
Wow. All right.
And we're not talking the cheap jewelry. We're talking good jewelry, good purse.
Holy crap. Which one do I pick? I like both. I think in this right now in 2023, thinking about stuff, this is tough. I think I'd have to go hoping for a purse. No, I think I'd hope for jewelry because I do have some nice purses that you got me last year for Christmas and for my birthday. So I'm going for jewelry.
Jewelry is your final answer.
Jewelry's it.
All right. I was actually thinking what I should have done was shoes versus purse.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that would have been a whole nother.
Oh, no. How about a shoe purse?
A shoe purse. There you go. Maybe.
Or purses, shoes that look like purses.
Maybe. I bet they make slippers that have shoes on them.
Probably.
So, all right, there you go.
The best of both worlds.
I can't say that you're getting either this year for Christmas because now we're back to the original. That should be the that or this for me. Was Patty good or naughty this year?
Oh, I think that's easy. Maybe
a little bit of both. So, all right.
There, Fred.
Yeah, we won't go there. All right, so let's get into this week's topic. And,
all right.
And unbelievably, I did a poll on our YouTube community a few weeks ago to see. And I sometimes I always love because people will be like, well, you should have given us this choice. No, in a poll, you force people to make a choice.
That's why it's a poll.
Yeah. And so the question was, do you primarily eat out of your RV, meaning cook?
Right.
Or do you find you eat out more? Which one do you do more on trips? And it was really interesting.
What did it find out?
A little bit of everything.
Okay.
I don't remember the exact percentages, but it was definitely across the board. Like it wasn't everybody said we're eating
one way or the other. Yep. Okay.
And you might assume that if you own an RV, you're always going to cook all your meals.
Not necessarily.
I cook all the time here at home. I like not having to cook when we are RVing.
Right.
And so I thought what we do is let's break this down a little bit because I think there's two parts to RVing.
Okay.
Although depending on how you use your RV, if you're just going to a local state park, then this first part doesn't pertain to you. But if you're taking a longer trip, and we tend to do longer trips.
Right, just because of our jobs and how we have time off. Yep.
So we tend to have travel days when we go RVing.
Oh, yeah.
So on travel days, I think I hear a lot of people say, hey, before we get ready to hit the road, I make sandwiches or
pack up some goodies. And
yeah,
stuff like
almost
that.
like a little picnic lunch.
Right.
And we will stop at a rest area. Sometimes I hear people say they will put their slides out, go into the RV, eat, that type of thing. Or just grab it out of the trailer at a fuel stop and eat on the road.
Right.
Or the other option is, if you don't want to mess with that, is just to buy something.
Right.
And I would say we have done
We've done both, I think.
We have done the both.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems like we tend to
lean more toward getting something along the way.
Yeah.
I think it's just easier with the dogs sometimes to grab something, maybe. I don't know why we do that, but
yeah. And sometimes, like, especially with this trailer, I think when we had the Tab 400, we were because we could just pull into regular
Yep.
parking spots at a gas station and then go back, and we would sometimes heat up stuff in
Right.
the microwave. But with this larger RV, it's a little harder to find places to park. And honestly, the Lance was the same way.
Right.
We were finding it because some of these gas stations, especially when you travel like we do during the busy times of the year,
It's hard
like
to find a spot.
Christmas, like we're getting ready to leave for
In a
Florida.
couple weeks,
yeah, and traffic's going to be nuts going to Florida on
Always is.
the 22nd and 23rd.
Always.
And so gas stations are crazy. I just don't want to necessarily mess with trying to find some place to park the trailer. And so we tend to end up just going into the fuel location, grabbing something there, and then taking it right back out and then pulling away after,
Right.
pumping, which also means we are somewhat selective on where we stop for fuel when we know it's a food break.
Right, because I'm always looking on, I guess, those travel plazas or those apps that we have for
Like,
Pilot
right.
and
iExit.
Loves and all that. Yeah, and iExit to see what's coming up, what food is option at the gas pumps, what we could get, like if they have an Arby's with a gas fuel or whatever it is.
Right.
So, yeah.
We build stops for food around Buc-ee's.
We do.
I mean, as funny as that sounds, that is
That's
a very
good
true statement.
Stop.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like we know that if we stop at Buc-ee's,
Mm-hmm.
we're going to try to stop at Buc-ee's for either lunch or dinner.
Yep.
Or if there's a Buc-ee's and it's like dead center between meals, we may still stop, grab something, stick it in the refrigerator,
Yep.
and then and in
Keep
that case
going.
microwave it later. But usually we're able to time it
Pretty good.
pretty
Yeah.
good. And the reason we do that with the Buc-ee's, and unfortunately there's only certain places you can do that. Like we
Right.
know in Kentucky there's going to be one in Georgetown. We're definitely not going to veer off to go to the one in Sevierville.
No.
But
No.
then in Georgia we have two options.
Right.
We have the one, I can't even remember where it's at, Calhoun maybe?
I think so.
Up north, and then there's a one down near Perry.
Yep, that we've been to a bunch.
But yeah, Buc-ee's, just because, man, the brisket sandwich is worth
Well,
the money.
and Buc-ee's, you don't have to deal with big rigs,
Nope.
semis.
And there's plenty of parking for
Parking.
RVs to pull over.
They have lots of parking.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not a Buc-ee's, which most of the time I guess it's not a Buc-ee's, then, like the Flying J's,
Yep.
the Pilots, the Loves, I think those usually have food service of some point.
Right.
Some are better than others.
Right, of course.
And there has been a rare occasion where if there's something special we want, and a good example is when we go down south, we don't have Zaxby's
Right.
up north, at least
Yeah.
not up far north as us. You have actually found me Zaxby's, and if you can find a big parking
Yep.
lot somewhere near where I can get in and
Yep,
out.
we've done that before.
I mean, I've walked across parking lots. Like I'll park in a shopping center parking lot and walk across the street,
Yep.
get the Zaxby's, bring it back over, and we'll either just sit there and eat,
Yep.
or sometimes I eat and drive.
Right.
I'm sure this is where the safety police are going to come out.
Yeah,
But-
yeah. But like if we're driving, it's like, for example, like Zaxby's, you're like chicken tenders are easy
Right,
to.
right.
You're not eating like a salad with a fork, but I
Right.
think you could do that.
Yeah,
You're pretty
I've
good.
actually been over the years pretty good about it. It's amazing what I can eat and drive at the same
Yeah, I'm
time.
always like, what are you doing? But yeah.
So I think that's kind of how our travel.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is we can't, like some RVers will pull in to like Cracker Barrel because they have the RV parking,
Right.
go in and have meals.
But can't with the dogs.
No, I mean could we?
I could.
We
I
could.
just don't feel comfortable.
Well, number one, it'd be a lot of work because we'd have to find a spot that we could put the slide out.
We gotta get the crate because they're used to that. I wouldn't
Yep.
want them just to roam free, like in the truck or anything.
And with the new battery
right.
and inverter setup, I mean, we could run the AC for an hour, no problem. And then if it's a sunny day, if we stop for lunch, we could probably charge back up as we're driving.
Right.
We just tend not to.
I just don't feel comfortable doing that. I guess it's just.
It's not even that. I
just-
think it's time.
Well, true.
For us, we're all like,
Well, with school, you're on a time frame.
right. If
with our
it's
trips.
if it's Christmas, if it's spring break or fall trip, it's such a short time. We just want to get to our destination.
We have to put the hammer down.
Yeah.
We have
If it
to-
was summer, maybe where we're in no hurry to
Yeah,
get
that's
anywhere,
different. Mhm.
then maybe we could. But
Right.
if you have that option, I think that's a good thing.
It
So
is. Yeah.
anyway, all right. So that's travel days.
Yep.
Now we've arrived at our destination.
Right.
And let's face it, we have two options. We can either cook
Yep.
or we can eat out.
Right.
Let's start with the cooking.
All right.
So, if we're cooking, Number one, we do tend to sometimes pack some food from home. And one of the big things I like to do, like I've already done this for our upcoming Florida trip, I have put some meat in the freezer in the RV because meat tends to be one of those things that's kind of expensive depending on where you're at. So I've already put in like some steak and some burgers because we have that here at home in the freezer and it's good. And stuff like that. You know, we take your basic staples. We have cereal. We'll take yogurt and juice and yeah, things like that. Cereal. And it just gives us options because one of the things, I don't know about you, Patty, but like this is a 2-week trip. So number one, it would get very expensive if we ate every meal.
Well, and sometimes it just gets tiring.
And it gets tiring.
Yeah.
And so, or there's just days where you've been out all day and you're like, I just want to go back.
Yeah.
And we just whip up something. We throw something on the grill or microwave something, you know. So I think that's, you know, the thing. The other thing I like to do, and I know you do too, is when we go to a location that's away from home.
Right.
Well, number one, I love going to grocery stores that we don't have in our area.
Oh, yeah. It's always kind of fun to see the different products and what we could find.
Right.
And especially I think in like Maine, you know, we were finding like the seafood markets and things like that also besides grocery stores to get food to grill.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. So farmers markets, we love finding farmers markets or little seafood shops, things like that, or regional specialty shops. Those are great. But, you know, like when we get to Florida here for the holidays, I'm hitting Publix multiple times.
Well, because it's wild what they carry that we don't get here in
Indiana. Like, I'm sure somebody's listening to this going, really?
What?
You get excited about, we have Publix. That's where I shop. It'd be like if you said, hey, I can't wait to get to Indiana to shop at Myron. We'd be like, why? But when we get to Florida, we're going to hit Publix multiple times because they, like Patty said, they carry products that we can't get here in Indiana, primarily Cabot yogurt.
Yep, and Tillamook.
And the Tillamook cream cheese. Like, we can get Tillamook cheeses, but we like their, what is it, like a vegetable spread?
Yeah, it's vegetable spread. We can't get it here.
Yeah.
And sometimes the certain ice creams you could find in other places you can't get here from Tillamook. And just like Cabot, the different cheeses and yogurts and stuff we can't get here. So it's wild how you can go so far away from where their factory is and get it, but we're closer here, but we can't get it.
Yeah, and like when we're in Florida, I know Publix will have oysters. We will definitely be going and getting oysters once or twice during that trip and grilling them up.
Yeah.
Because we, around here, it's just hard to find good oysters that are fresh. But being down there in Florida, they tend to get.
Right.
So yeah, I think that's one of the things. Even if you're planning on cooking in your RV or grilling out in your RV, I think it's fun to go to the local grocery stores. Even though you're going to bring some food with us, I like going to the local grocery stores, just finding out what they have and trying things. I mean, when we were up in Maine this summer, let's see, Market Basket, which is more in like Connecticut, Massachusetts, I believe. But I love those stores. And then what was the chain that we shop at in Maine? Do you remember?
Starts with an H, doesn't it?
Hannaford.
Hannaford.
Yeah, we like the Hannaford.
Well, yeah, because you remember we found those chips.
Oh yeah, the Humpty Dumpty chips.
Humpty Dumpty chips that a friend at school told me about that I had to find.
Although there was another chip that we ended up finding that's a Maine chip, and I wished I could remember those were made. That's why I say when you travel to areas, you find things that you don't
foodie,
get. Yeah,
so
we're kind of foodies.
We like to try different foods.
It shows in our waistline. So.
Even the puppies are foodies.
Yeah. I mean, when we go out, we're planning at this point to go out west this summer for about a month. And unless something's changed in the last, let's see, it's been, 3 years, 4 years since we've been out west. But Albertsons out west sell Snake River Farms beef.
Yes.
And that stuff is delish.
Amazing.
Again, there's probably somebody out west goes, I bought, whatever. But to us, we think it's delish.
Yeah.
So.
And I think too, honey, like we like to, I'm thinking like, okay, the Christmas trip, you're going to Florida, it's warmer. We enjoy being outside cooking sometimes because it's warmer weather, or spring break, you've been cooped up in Indiana, you want to cook, But then it also is fun to go out to some restaurants.
It is. And we do like,
here.
Now Patty and I have a real simple rule with going out to restaurants once we're at the location. So we do break this rule on travel days.
Oh,
but, yeah. But when let's say when we get to Florida, we're not eating at restaurants that we can eat at here at home.
Right.
We're not going to Red Lobster or Olive Garden.
No. If we can get it here at home, we don't go because we want to try something different.
The only exception might be Panda Express.
That's what I'm thinking.
On a day when you just need a quick lunch, we might hit Panda. We do like our Panda Express. But no, in general, I mean, I'm not going to do a Chili's. I'm not going to do, Lone
Olive Garden or...
Yeah.
Any of that stuff.
So we try to find now. I don't want to say we don't do chains because sometimes we'll do quote chains, but they're regionalized to that area.
Right.
So like the Miller's Ale Houses, we
like
love
those,
but we don't have those here. So we do those. I also like finding the smaller mom and pop restaurants in an area because there's always, I always say like the worse the place looks on the outside, probably the better the food.
Yeah.
As long as the parking lot is always full, it's a good place to eat.
It's going to be good. Yeah.
So and then the other thing we like is to find local or regionalized cuisine within that area that we're traveling to.
Yeah.
So when we were in Maine, we would go to the lobster pot for, things like scallops.
You said it.
Did I say it right?
Yeah, it's like
I don't know if Jeff and Lynn listen to the podcast, but I hope Lynn is happy that
you got schooled on that.
I'm working on my my Maine speech. Scallops.
Yeah.
Lobster obviously up in Maine is a big deal. We're not big lobster people, but
lobster.
But like in Florida, I mean, you can get some fantastic like fresh fish dishes.
Shrimps,
and
shrimp meals and all that, conch and
just things that maybe they don't serve around here.
Right.
Cuban food in Florida is there's not many Cuban restaurants in Northeast Indiana, and if they're they may not be as good as down in Central Florida.
Right.
So like we love going to Columbia, which we're going to be having Christmas Eve dinner
Just
at.
get me sangria and bread, and I'm happy.
I throw in my paella, and it is a holly jolly
salad bread. Sangria, I'm good.
Yeah, Patty's not so much for the paella, but I am.
No, it's good.
Yeah. I think we usually split
It's
it.
okay. Yeah.
She picks out the seafood she doesn't like.
Yeah, and you just get to enjoy it. Yeah. That's fine.
So and I think that's fun for us. Like we're going to be in Florida for 2 weeks, and I am, like I said, I cook here all the time. We don't go out to eat that much here. So when we travel, we kind of splurge, but again, we're not going to eat out every meal.
No.
I think that's the other thing is we have found, and I'm always curious, like the people listening, what's going through their head right now and how their style different than ours. We tend to eat breakfast almost always in.
Right.
Just because we just don't want to get around and go out.
Slow moving.
Yeah, I love going out to breakfast. It's one of my favorite meals, but we tend to, when we're on vacation, we just want to take it easy. So, our breakfast in is usually things like bagels and yogurts, fresh fruit if we can find on the trip, things like that. And a lot of times we end up eating like our big meal at lunch.
Right, because it's cheaper.
Yeah, we'll eat out. It's cheaper. And then in the evening, we'll just, we'll
whatever
eat
we
in.
have.
And I would say we usually only eat out once a day.
I think so. And I'm thinking in Florida, because we like that Publix so much,
right,
that a few years ago someone said, you got to try the Publix chicken. The fried chicken. And so we would buy that stuff and then have that to heat up at dinners because you get a lot of meals out of that.
Oh, my gosh. Well, yes, that I forgot about. So Publix has two things that we like. The pub subs, where it's kind of like Subway except way better.
Way better.
And so I'll just go over. There's a Publix just down the road from Fisherman's Cove. And I'll go over there and get us a sub and bring that back, and we'll eat those. And they make them fresh to order. But their chicken, like I don't remember, it used to be, and again, prices are high everywhere, but I think you'd get like 8 pieces of chicken. It was at 2 sides, 4 rolls for like $10 or $12.
Something like that.
Which means we can eat on that for 2 meals.
Yeah. For us, it's like a lot of food. And
so it's kind of like eating out, but it's not like eating out, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I don't have to tip. Well, I don't know anymore. They want to. So I swear, every place I go, every place I go anymore, they want to tip. But that's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah, and then eating out to us is sometimes it's more. If we're in school mode, this is more like kind of like a reward, for us to go out and have some fun food on our trips, and that's why we usually do it, to try other things and it's a vacation.
And sometimes when we're RVing, grilling out is, like a treat too.
Yeah.
Because we find things like the oysters or fresh seafood that we can throw on the grill,
or some Snake Farm steaks.
Snake Farm steaks or something. Absolutely. So.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
I'm
it's
getting
I'm
hungry.
getting
It's
hungry thinking about this. Yeah. So, let us know, if you can, in if you're watching the video version, you can leave us a comment on our YouTube channel, Travels with Delaney, the podcast.
yeah.
And if you're on the audio side, if your platforms allow it, we'd love to see comments
Yeah.
on how
How
you,
you
yeah.
eat food or travel with food and cook out and whatever.
We really appreciate you taking time out of your day to join us. And
Absolutely.
and until next time, Patty, we'll see you.
On down that road.
Bye.
Bye.
Travels with Delaney. We'll see you on down the road.